welcome everybody to tonight's talk, which is entitled How to Really Tap into Your Own Intuitive Guide. I think this is a time of uncharted territories for a lot of people. I think this is a time of change for a lot of people where it feels like we're in a space between one world and another world. And the word that keeps coming to me is liminal. Liminal, which means leaving one world and entering into another world, that space between the two, where you're not in that world anymore, but you haven't yet been reborn or birthed into that new world, into that new way of being, like a rite of passage. And some might say that the whole collective consciousness is going through this rite of passage. It's going through this change from an old into a new. And as the whole collective consciousness goes through this change and shifts, so we are too individually going through this change. We're shedding old skins. We're making choices that are based on the truth and clarity of who we are and what we really want to experience in our life in a far greater way now than perhaps what we did in the old world. And so a lot of questions are arising for people at the moment. A lot of questions around, is this actually the life that I want to be living? Is this the lifestyle that I want to be living? Is this where I want to be living? Am I relating with people in the way that I want to relate with people? Am I working in the way that I want to work? Am I doing the work that I'm wanting to do? Is it true for my soul? Is it true for me? Am I following my true north? And a lot of people might be very much in the space of knowing their truth. And already, I'm sure a lot of people who are here tonight have been on this path of truth for a long time. But I think even if we've been on the path of truth for a long time, this space is going to even show us even greater truths about ourselves. And it's quite interesting. I've been reflecting a lot about mask wearing. I got really quite triggered when I had to start wearing a mask, because in South Africa it's compulsory. We have to wear a mask at all times when we leave our home. And I was really triggered about wearing this mask. I really went into it for myself, and I've been doing a lot of soul searching around what does that bring up for me, you know, around having my voice suppressed. But also what it brought up for me was, what part of myself do I mask unconsciously? What are my masks? What do I hide away from in myself to myself? What am I not true about? And what am I not true about in the world, me in the world? How can I unmask myself even more now in this vulnerable space that we are all in? So that when I am birthed into this new world, I feel a much truer version. I don't know if you can say a true version, because truth is truth. I'm in my truth. And that's the big reflection of this time, is what is our truth? The reason why this time is such an incredibly divinely rich time for us is because the world has settled, and because we have settled. So when I say settled, you know, things have quietened down. I know they're picking up around the world now, but it's still going to be relatively quiet for quite a long period of time, I think, compared to what we used to. So because the world has settled and we have had to settle and stay at home, space has opened up. Silence has shown itself to us. The void has arrived. And it's in the void where the answers are. It's in the void, it's in the space in between the lines. It's in the silence between the noise where the answers are, where the richness of the truth is. And because we're normally so busy and chaotic and it's noisy, we often don't settle into that space, that void, to allow the truth to arise. I'm going to speak to us about psychic senses, and I'm going to share some tools and techniques that you can use for yourself to tap into your guidance, your truthful guidance for you, according to your values, aligned to your values, nobody else's values, because somebody else's values will be different to yours, and what will be true for them may not be true for you. And so I was looking up, what does the word psychic actually mean? It means relating to or denoting faculties or phenomena that are apparently inexplicable by natural laws. Relating to or denoting faculties or phenomena that are apparently inexplicable by natural laws. And when I read this, I saw a box, and then I saw like the space in the box, and I saw the space around the box. Imagine the box is our 3D world. The space is, and around the box and in the box is where the richness of that psychic world is. It's in between everything. It's not the linear world. And so how do we get in between? How do we see in between? How do we feel in between? Firstly, we have to know that there is an in between, that there is more to the box. And then we practice and we practice and we practice. And I always say this to my students, is that I believe that everybody, I don't actually use the word psychic. I think it comes sometimes with connotations of going to somebody who's a fortune teller and telling your future. And so I'm going to use the word intuition. The psychic world is a world in between, and it's a world of constant practice to get to that place. And what I say to my students is that we can all be intuitive psychic if we practice at it. It's a bit like Beethoven, Picasso. We might not necessarily play the piano as well as Beethoven or paint as well as Picasso, but we can practice painting and we can practice playing the piano, and we can still do it. And it's the same with tapping into your guidance, your intuition. Everybody has the ability to tap into that higher power. There are different types of senses. So there are different psychic senses. I'm going to talk you through them so that you can begin to get a sense or a feel of perhaps what is your sense? What is your sense between the boundaries of linear time and space? We have clairvoyance. I think that's probably the word that most people, by the way, clair means clear, and clair means clear. So it's clear seeing, clear sound, clear knowing. Clairvoyance is often the term that people would use for somebody who is psychic, or they're going to see a clairvoyant. And that means that person who's clairvoyant is somebody who's able to see visuals and images in their mind's eye. Like when I said to you just now, when I read what psychic means, I saw a box. I'm pretty visual. I will see things, and that's how I will interpret what the message is. Then you have audience, clairaudience, which is sound. So it's hearing. You can get messages through like songs on the radio, or when you're in meditation, you might hear somebody say something to you. That's going to be clairaudience, a sound. Claircognizant, it's a knowing. You just know something about somebody. You can't say why. There's no reason why you know it. You just know it. You absolutely know it. Or about yourself, of course. Clairsentience means feeling. For those of you who walk into a room, let's say there's a couple that have been arguing in the room, and you walk into the room and you didn't see them arguing or anything, but you walk into the room and you feel the tension. You feel like you could cut that tension with a knife. Or you go to a shopping mall, you felt fine when you went into the mall, but you feel absolutely exhausted when you leave the mall, or you're in a bad mood or irritable. You're picking up on, you're picking up all the psychic energy in the air, and you are feeling it. Okay, so that's clairsentient. And then we have, these two are not as common, these last two, clairsentist, which is fragrance, which I've never had before, but some people will smell messages. So like, for instance, if they smell roses, then that's like a message maybe of love for them. Or if they smell something bitter, then that brings a different message for them. So it's about smell. And then we have clairgustant, which is taste. This is an interesting one. I've also never had this one, but when I did my psychic studies, there was a guy in my class, and he got taste. He would get taste, and one of the things he would taste would be like metal. Sometimes if he had to give like a very strong message to somebody around something that's not going well for them, it would taste like metal in his mouth. I'll never forget. That's taste. And you might find, even before, we're going to do an exercise just now, but even before doing that, you might get a sense of what your main feeling is, or main way of seeing, feeling, tasting, touching, or whatever it is for you, because it will be the same as what it is for you in your everyday life. If you are a visual person in your everyday life, it's going to show up for you when you're in meditation as well. If you love sound, if you play musical instruments, if you sing, if you're very much about your voice, you may find that when you are in meditation or trying to tap into your sense, it's going to be sound as well. You may be a mixture, so it's not all, doesn't have to be just one thing. I'm a mixture of the top four, actually. I think my main one is a knowing, and the visual, and then the feeling, and then sounds will be the fourth one for me. I definitely don't get the bottom two. So some of you may get a mixture of them, but it is helpful to know which is your main one, because then you can really look out for images, for instance. If images are talking to you, then work with images to bring you messages. If sound talks to you, then work with sound to bring you those messages. If it's feelings, then really sit with, how do you feel? How does something feel to you? You know, if you're wanting an answer to something, really go into the feeling of it. I'm used to asking people how they're doing and if they're all with me. I'm actually going to ask people, are you all with me right now? I can't see anybody. I can't see if people are nodding and saying, yes, it's all okay, we understand. All good here, yes. Okay, people are saying yes, oh goody. I wanted to also tell you like a clear knowing that I had, and a clear voice that once happened to me, and a clear knowing. It was when I was in the UK and I was doing my shamanic training, and part of the shamanic training, we had to be buried overnight in the earth. It was part of the initiation into the earth spirit. So we were buried individually overnight and had this incredibly intense, beautiful experience in the darkness of the grave overnight. When they came to get me out in the morning, as I was climbing out the grave, this voice so clearly said to me, you're going back to South Africa. You know, you're moving back to South Africa. And in that moment, I got this clear knowing, I'm moving back to South Africa. but there'd be no like pre-thought to that. I'd been living in the UK for 15 years. I had no plans to come back to South Africa. I didn't know how I was going to make it work or why I was coming back, but I just knew absolutely in that moment that that's what was going to happen. And then within 6 months, it had all happened. Literally everything fell into place. One thing happened after the other, after the other, after the other. And I packed up and I came and I moved back to South Africa. And actually, that's when I started doing this work that I do. So my entire life actually changed in that choice to follow what I had been told. And I say, but it's a choice to follow what you've been told. So we're going to be told things often, but are we listening and are we taking action on what our knowing is or what we've just heard to be true for us? I just wanted to share that story. That was just an example of how like profound these moments of awareness can be. Especially, I mean, for me, I'd been in that deep, dark place overnight, and I was so in that void that I spoke about in the beginning, that could rise up out of me. And so I'm going to talk more later about ways that you can work, tools that you can use for yourself at home to answer questions for yourself. But right now, what I'd like us to do is I'm going to take us through a short meditation exercise where you are going to begin to explore with curiosity. This is not a serious thing, and you don't have to get it right now. I always say to people, just play with it. Just see what comes up for you. We're going to explore and open up to the possibility that you can begin to see how you get messages. Is it going to be through a knowing? Is it going to be through an image, a feeling, a sound? Somebody says something to you? A mixture of all of that? Just to play around a little bit with it. So you're going to get nice and comfortable. You can lie down or you can stay seated. We'll be about 10 minutes or so. And you can close down your eyes. And like we did at the beginning, just bringing your awareness to your breathing. And taking a few deep cleansing breaths. And as you do so, allowing your entire body to soften and relax again. Now, letting go of the judge, letting go of needing to get anything right, letting go of trying to work anything out. Because this space that we're going to go into is a deep space of the feminine, and the deep space of the feminine is the one that just surrenders into the space within. Let go of trying. Let go of needing to get anywhere. And giving yourself permission to drop deeply into your being. It's just you. It's just your body. It's just your breath. Let go. And as you breathe in and out, imagine, sense, or feel that you are able to breathe into your heart center. As the air moves in and out of your heart, you feel your heart opening like a flower blossoming and opening towards the light and the air. Your heart expands and welcomes you back into your true home. Welcoming you with open arms, such deep love and compassion and acceptance for you exactly the way that you are. And as you surrender into your heart space, just see, sense, or feel that beautiful pink light swirling, emanating right deep, deep, deep in your heart center. This pink light is so filled with this love and compassion, and it becomes brighter and brighter, welcoming you. Feel yourself surrendering deep, deep, deep into this beautiful light. And as you surrender into the space, with curiosity, just notice what your heart feels right now. Notice, was that a voice that told you how your heart felt? Was it a feeling? Was it a knowing? How did that message come to you? And if your heart had one helpful message to give to you right now, what would that message be? And with curiosity, notice, how did that message come to you? Was it a voice, a knowing, a sense, a feeling, a taste? And in a moment, we're going to let that space go. Remember that you are your heart. When you were an embryo in the womb, the first thing that began to grow was your heart, and everything grew from that space. You're always connected to the space. Your entire being, your entire space of yourself emanates from your heart. And this is your true home, where you always belong. And you're always accepted for exactly who you are. So I'd like you to bring your awareness now back to your breathing. And taking a few deep, purifying breaths. Just moving your feet and toes, and your hands and your fingers. And stretching and opening your eyes. And returning to your room. That was not even 10 minutes. So really just quietening yourself, dropping into a still space and surrendering, and then just seeing what arises from that space. It's such a simple thing to do. But what we tend to do in our world is we are in our head. I mean, I'm speaking from experience. I want to work things out. I want to know the answer. I don't understand this. I'm trying to work it out from my head. I have to keep reminding myself, open up to the space, because it's in the space where the answers are sitting. So it's in the space where the answers are sitting. So you can do that at any time that you like. And this brings me on to talking about the different ways that you can begin to tap into your guidance, your intuition for yourself. What I'm going to share with you, there are so many different ways to do it, but I'm going to share some with you. But please, this list is not exhaustive at all. There are lots more ways to do it. So the first way I'm going to talk about is through meditation, exactly what we just did. So the way that you could do it, which is slightly different to what we just did, is you can actually have a question. So you got a question. Show me, let's, as an example, will this job move be good for me? Or show me what will happen should I choose to change careers? Or show me, if I choose to live in a certain place in the world, what the outcome will be, or tell me. So you can write that down. So that part of this, I call the masculine energy. We're using the mind, we're using the air, we're using thought. So we need to put the masculine energy out, and we put that question out. We can write it down, or we can just like voice it. Once that question is done, or it's written, that's when the masculine must stop. The masculine's done its job. The thought's done its job. It's put it out there. Then when you go into meditation of, let's say, 10 minutes or something, or however long you do, you can even do a shamanic journey, you can do drumming, whatever it is. That's the feminine. And the feminine is the void. The feminine is the space where we drop, and we don't analyze. We don't try and work it out while we're in there. We don't try and make sense of it, because the moment we start trying to make sense of it or analyze it or trying to work it out while we're in there, it's the masculine. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring us back to the surface reality again, that box that we were talking about. So we want to stay in that space. And then when you get all the feelings, you might not understand those feelings. You might not understand what's being said to you while you're in it. When you come out of it, when you write it down, it may begin to make more sense to you. Or you can do a few meditations over a few days and then write down and bring that all together and see the story that's unfolded for you. What does it mean for you? Oh, what are the messages for you? So the type of meditations to do, there's so many different ones. As I said, you can do shamanic journeying, where you can go learn how to do a shamanic journey, or you can just do a stillness meditation, a mindfulness meditation, or something similar to what we just did, just go into your heart. A lot of people will teach you to open your third eye, which is very helpful for this type of work. However, that's going to help you. It's a vision. The third eye is our visionary center. So that's not the only space that you want to open. You want to open your other chakras as well. So you can do daily chakra meditations. Your crown is going to give you that claircognizance, that knowing. The third eye is going to give you the clairvoyance, the seeing. The throat chakra is going to give you the clairaudience, the hearing. So the more you can cleanse and clear the chakras, the clearer you're going to hear and feel and sense and know and all that. So that's another thing that you can do often. When I first started training, I would do daily chakra meditations to cleanse and clear them. There's an amazing meditation app called Insight, INSIGHT, Timer, Insight Timer. It's free. You can download it for free. There are hundreds of thousands of incredible meditations on there that can really help you with this type of thing. So that's meditation. I spoke about the masculine, the feminine, and dropping into the space. So writing, automatic writing. That automatic writing is what got me hooked to it. Automatic writing is amazing. It's incredible. Okay, so you write a question. You write the question, but this time you're not doing a meditation. You're actually going to write the question, and then you're going to start answering as if you're somebody else. You just imagine you're somebody else, you're somebody wiser, and you start answering. And you don't stop writing. And even if it doesn't make sense, you just keep writing, you keep writing the answer, even if you say the same word over and over again, blah, 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 keep going. And then at some point, and you might need to practice this a bit, but at some point you'll feel a switch, and you actually do feel this incredible sense of intuitive guidance coming through that you wouldn't necessarily have been able to anchor into before had you not done this writing. And it's called automatic writing, and it works. I'm not going to go into the whole science behind it, but it feels like a flow of water coming through you as you're writing. It's an incredible portal opening that happens. So I highly recommend doing some automatic writing, asking a question, and then just seeing what comes out. Art and creativity is an incredible way to get clear. So if you are somebody, you don't have to be creative to do it, but in particular, if you are creative, I would highly recommend this, because you start drawing your feelings, or you start drawing an answer. Symbols will come through. Photography, just now I'll show you some photos that I've taken, some creative stuff that I've done just to get answers for myself. Symbols come through, maybe words come through. Colors will give you different, if you draw, like, let's say the color red keeps coming through, maybe it's something to do with your root chakra that you need to deal with, because red is for the root chakra. So and there are just so many things that you can do with creativity to tap into your body. Of course, you can use cards. I sometimes use cards. It doesn't have to be tarot cards. It can be any type of cards. I often just use these Ascended Master cards by Doreen Virtue. And she's also got Goddess cards. And you get clear on your answer again, and then you can just maybe pick 3 cards. One could be a card for the past, one could be a card for the present, and one could be a card for the possible future outcome, because there's never a guaranteed future outcome. It depends on choices. We all have free choice, remember. So that's why I would never tell anybody the future or anything like that, because it's really based on what choices we make in the present. So you can do this 3-card spread for yourself, and it's very helpful, in particular, to work through obstacles. I find I use the cards when I'm needing to understand why I'm experiencing a block. I ask the question, what is the block, and how can I move beyond it? And it's uncanny. It's just it's very helpful just to get ourselves out the way and just get some messages from the cards. It's a very helpful thing to do. Scrying is gazing at something for a long period of time, like a flame or a bowl of water. It's an incredible way to receive messages, because the water starts speaking to you. You know, obviously you'll get yourself in a really still, quiet space, and then you can think of a question, and the water will start giving you messages, or you will see images in the water. This is one of the things that we actually do in the developmental classes, is practice with this type of thing. And even the flame, you'll stare into a flame, and then images might come out of the flame, or you'll get messages, or you just get a knowing, because of course nature is speaking to us all the time. Nature is speaking to us all the time. So work with nature to help you to receive messages. Signs, symbols, numbers. I'm going to talk about that in a second, because that's a slide I'm going to show you. A book, a random page in a book. I love this one. If you're struggling with something, or you just really feel like you need like a divine guidance, just think of a page number. Okay, page 23, and I'm going to look at the left-hand page, top part of the left-hand page, and then just see what that message is there for you. And it is really quite amazing how messages can come through books and writing for you randomly, but nothing's really random. So yeah, try it. It's really amazing. Songs is an amazing one as well. So I don't know if any of you, like, you'll hear a song going around in your head, even though you haven't heard it on the radio. And then when you actually think about those words of the song, you're like, oh, that's really helpful for me to hear that right now. Gosh, I didn't even realize what those words were in that song. So look out for songs that you are going on around your head, but also songs that come on the radio. If you have been struggling with something or thinking about something, and then you hear a song and it really pulls to you, listen to the words, because spirits work in this way. They work with technology, they work with radio, they work through the radio waves a lot. So be open to explore what comes through the songs, what comes through the music for you. Something I didn't have on here before I talk about nature is dreams, of course. So again, you can write a question for yourself and put it under your pillow, and just forget about the question. Just put it under your pillow at night, and then just see what your dreams are. See how that relates to what the question is. And you might need to do this for a few nights, and then, a bit like something else I was speaking about earlier, you can then collate all the different dream messages that you've got and start creating a story around what the message is for you. Nature is probably the biggest connection for me, where that's where I connect, that's where I get my messages. Nature is speaking to us all the time, but we just need to be aware that nature is speaking to us. It's alive, it wants to talk to us, we're interconnected. We are not separate from nature, and so they're there to support us. We're there to support it as well. I believe we need to be a lot more aware of what it's saying to us. Yeah, what is it saying to us? So one thing that you can do this is a very good exercise, a very powerful one. It's worked really well for me. You have a question, you have something that's on your mind, you're not quite sure how to move through a certain situation in your life. Pick a space in nature where you can walk from one spot to another spot, probably like about a 5-minute walk, okay, maybe 10 minutes maximum, and know where you're going to start and where you're going to end, so it becomes a sacred walk. So put a stick down there, put a stick down there, whatever, and have that thought of what it is that you're really wanting to understand more about, what the question is. Let that thought go, and then start walking on that path. As you walk on that path for 5-10 minutes, it's a meditation. It's a bit like what I was saying earlier, when you go into the stillness, you don't want to question anything. It might not seem clear to you at the time. All you're going to do is you're going to walk for that time, and you're going to notice everything. You're going to become a really alert observer to everything, all the signs that you see in the nature, all the feelings, all the smells. Even if somebody walks past you and they're talking, what are they talking about? What colors are you seeing? What symbols are around you? You do this, you stay really alert, really observant of all this. Once you've finished, you write that all down, and it is uncanny how this creates part of the answer of what it is that you're needing to hear right now, or you're needing to know right now. It's pretty amazing, and nature loves to work with us. They become so excited when we pay attention to it. They become so excited when we see into them, where we see the spirit of who or what they are. And that's what I love doing, is just really feeling the depth of the rocks around me, feeling the depth of the clouds, feeling the depth of the ocean, the trees, looking at them. And when you look at them outside of the box, and you look beyond their structure, you will always see, they will always show you something about themselves, because they want to be seen. And so there's actually a slide of photographs that I've taken, and I'll just tell you what messages they were for me at the time and why they felt so significant. Top left-hand corner, it's a snake skin. Actually, I should probably start with the bottom right-hand corner of the heart. So the week before lockdown, or I knew we were going into lockdown, but so it was a few days before. I was walking on the beach when we were still allowed to, because in South Africa we're not allowed to go to the beach, but we were still allowed to at that time. So I was walking on the beach. I was just contemplating, how am I going to navigate through this time, both personally and professionally? This is a scary time. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I felt insecure and unstable. I didn't have any answers. And you know, I sat down and I was just contemplating, and literally I looked down in front of me and there was this heart stone. And the words I got, I sensed it was a female, it was a she, and it was like a whisper I got was, everything is fine, just follow your heart. And quite honestly, since that moment, which was maybe 5 days before lockdown, I've had a lot of ups and downs, I think, like all of us. And I've had undulating days, and definitely going down into the depths and up. But overall, I felt quite strong, actually. And I knew that I just had to be disciplined about bringing my awareness back into my heart as often as I could, because that's what was going to lead me through this time. So I thought that was amazing to see. And then literally the day before lockdown, I went for a walk in my neighborhood, and on the left-hand bottom corner, there was an egg just in my neighborhood, under a tree. And immediately I got the word rebirthing. This time is about rebirthing. It's about, for me, and I think as a collective, And I think it was just before Easter in South Africa when we went into lockdown. So that was also very interesting, because Easter is also about ascension and rebirthing, the Easter egg. And yeah, so when I saw that, I felt a deep that was a knowing. I got this deep knowing that I was going to go into a deep place of a cocooning, like being in an egg, and then at some point it's going to crack open and we're going to rebirth. I'm not sure if the rebirth has happened yet. I don't think so. And then top left, snake skin. The first day we were allowed out to walk in South Africa to exercise, the walk I went on, I saw a snake skin. A snake skin it's about shedding skin, getting rid of the old so that we can move forward with the new, transformation, transmutation. So that for me felt like such a good omen, such a good sign to see that. And then top right, that was just something a few years ago. I took that picture in the sky, and I don't know if you can see I don't know if this mouse of mine, if you can see if you can see what I'm doing, probably not. Anyway, there's two eyes, there's a nose, and there's a mouth. There's a man looking down. And it brought me such a sense of peace to see this incredible, divine, masculine looking down in a protective way on me. And then the tree in the middle is just also a walk I was doing around my neighborhood last week, I think, in the area. And there is the eye in the middle. And I got this deep sense of, we're here, we're watching you, we're with you. But I think that she's also dancing a bit. So it was a reminder for me to dance, move my body, sway, flow, everything's fine. And so only sharing these with you because they're there all the time. Like every time you go outside, there's signs and there's symbols everywhere in nature. They want to be seen. And symbols are amazing. They will talk to us with symbols. So like the snake skin, the universal symbol of that is about shedding the old and moving into the new. So when you see these symbols and these signs, maybe firstly think, what does that feel like for you? What does that mean for you? But also you can look it up. There are many places where you can look up, what does this mean, this thing? And so what is this message that I'm getting here? One other thing as well, numbers, obviously, 11, 11, 22. A lot of people are seeing doubles of everything at the moment, like the big numbers, the 11s, the 22s, or things like that. That's an incredible. I don't know much about numbers, to be quite honest, but if you're interested in numbers, then research it, because that's an incredible way to get messages as well, especially when you look at clocks and number plates, things like that, how you can get those messages through the numbers. What else do I need to say? Have I mentioned all the things? I have, I think. With this type of work, and with your development of your intuition, tapping into your knowledge, your guidance, don't try and get it all right. Like, don't be too serious about it. The more you play with it, the more it will play with you. Have fun with it. Trust what you're getting. Because if you're going to keep doubting everything, it's going to give you things to doubt, because the energy attracts the energy. So if you trust, it's going to give you things that are trusting. So especially in the beginning, just trust and go, yeah, okay, I trust that was a message for me. I don't quite understand what it means right now. I'll just park that, and maybe I'll understand it at a later stage. Don't push things aside. You're creating a relationship with an energy field. If you imagine you're creating a relationship with somebody, it's like creating a relationship with somebody. If you're creating a relationship with somebody, you don't want to push them aside. You want to give them attention. You want to trust that this relationship is good for you. So play, trust, and practice. Daily practice. Just practice on yourself, practice on your friends. Yeah, just have a lot of fun with it and enjoy it. It's a beautiful way to remember that you're not alone, actually. I think a lot of the time we can feel alone in the world. When we really connect with this other world, this space in between the lines, you're going to see how not alone we actually are in the most beautiful way, and how supported each and every one of us are. And so with that, I just want to thank you all so much for coming to the space today for my first online talk. I'm actually going to suggest mindfulness. I know it's not like, it's not like this massive journey we're going to go into the spirit world and all that, but mindfulness practice continues to help me. I do mindfulness very often, where what it's going to help you to do is to master this, because if we're not going to master what we're thinking and how much we're thinking, it's going to be more challenging perhaps to do this type of work, because we need to know how to become the observer to the mind and drop into the space and the field of the being. And this is what mindfulness can help you with. And even if it's just 10 minutes a day, that's a really, really powerful thing to do. And then finally, of course, there are journey meditations that you can do as well, shamanic journey meditations, but I would recommend that you get somebody to teach you that. And visualizations, where you can go and meet with your spirit guides. And actually there are beautiful spirit guide meditations on Insight Timer that you can do as well. I hope that's helpful.
I see a lot of thanks coming through. So thank you to all the audience. Thank you for being here tonight. We've really enjoyed this time together. And Claire, once more, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and your time with us. I've enjoyed it, and it looks like everybody else has too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.